The path seldom speaks, yet the soul knows the echo of its own footsteps. A serpent sheds its skin in silence. Transformation is not loud. When the world grows dim, the inner flame becomes the only light. There are signs not written, but carved into the marrow of becoming. To walk forward is to bleed with purpose and rise with knowing. There are moments fleeting, delicate as breath, when time seems to bend inward, and something unspeakable brushes against the veil of our understanding. We call it coincidence, perhaps, or mere chance. But the soul knows better. It knows the soft murmur of synchronicity, those sacred echoes that arrive not from cause and effect, but from the silent language of meaning. Synchronicity does not shout. It does not demand explanation. It waits like a still lake in the forest, untouched by wind, reflecting the image of something eternal beneath the chaos of events. It is the place where the inner world and the outer world touch fingertips, not by force, but by resonance. When logic begins to fracture beneath the weight of paradox, when the mind can no longer trace the thread that binds this to that, the whisper is heard. A dream impossibly timed, a stranger who says what your heart wrote but never voiced, a number, a symbol, a look in someone's eye that opens a door inside your chest. This is the realm where the soul speaks in symbols, not sentences. We are trained to dismiss such things. The rational mind scoffs, fears, shrinks. It is uncomfortable with the unseen, uneasy with mystery. But mystery is the dwelling place of the self, and synchronicity is its candlelight. To follow it is to walk into the forest without a map, guided only by the stirring of leaves, the song of the unseen bird. Synchronicity is the universe answering the cry of your soul, not with logic, but with reflection. It says, I see you. Keep going. You are not lost. But the voice is so quiet that only the courageous will hear it, those willing to sit in silence and listen beyond sound. There comes a time when logic alone becomes a prison, a sterile, mechanical loop where nothing breathes. In that place, the soul suffocates. But synchronicity, it opens a window. It reminds us that we are not merely flesh bound by laws of motion, but living symbols woven into a myth we have not yet remembered. When such a moment arrives, you must not chase it, only bow. Observe it as you would a sacred visitation. It is the reflection of your unconscious becoming visible, just for a moment, like the glint of a star in a dark river. You may not understand it, but the self does. Your destiny stirs when such signs emerge. They are not accidents, they are invitations. So when logic falls silent, do not panic. Do not retreat. Stand still and listen. The whisper is not outside you. It is the voice of your deeper knowing, disguised as the world, and it has been waiting for you to notice. There is a sacred exile that no one asks for, and yet it comes, uninvited, unexplained. It comes when the world turns its face away, when familiar voices fall silent, and the roads that once felt certain collapse into mist. Abandonment. It is not merely the absence of others. It is the stripping away of illusion, the peeling back of masks we once wore so comfortably. It feels like death, though the body remains, and in this hollowing something ancient stirs. We believe we are being punished, forgotten, forsaken. But beneath this suffering lies a hidden alchemy. For when the world withdraws its gaze, the self begins to speak. And the self is not loud. It does not clamor like the ego, nor seduce like the persona. It does not barter for attention. It waits, patient, like a lion in the tall grass of the unconscious watching, waiting for the moment you are finally still enough to feel it breathe. There is a strange paradox here. The more you are seen by the world, the more you lose sight of yourself. Applause can become anesthesia, praise a prison, belonging a mask that fits too tightly. But when you are cast out, when the external scaffolding falls, You come face to face with the one presence that cannot leave you, the self. It was always there, beneath the layers, waiting in the silence beneath your name, beneath your roles, beneath the need to be understood. Abandonment is the threshold, the sacred threshold, and to cross it is to walk blindfolded into your own soul, guided only by the ache in your chest. Yes, it hurts, but pain is often the first language of awakening. The self does not arrive with comfort. It arrives with truth, and truth, when first spoken, shatters illusions like stained glass falling in the night, and yet, in that ruin, light bleeds in. You begin to remember what you forgot, the dreams buried beneath duties, the wildness beneath your restraint, the child behind the curtain, the sacred stranger who has always lived within you, whispering through dreams, symbols, synchronicities. When all others leave, the self remains, and not as a judge, but as a guide. It gathers the fragments of your shattered identity and begins to form something new, not a mask, but a mirror, not a role, but a root. You will not return the same. You will walk differently, speak differently, not because you seek approval, but because you now speak from the center, not the surface. So if you find yourself abandoned, rejected, alone, do not run, do not grasp, do not numb. Sit in the ashes and listen, for in the silence of exile, the self approaches. And it has been waiting all your life for this moment. The surface trembles, breaks, collapses into fragments we cannot hold. Life, it seems, has lost its shape. The days twist like wind-torn banners. The mind clutches at meaning like a man grasping smoke. Chaos, confusion. A disintegration of all that once seemed certain. But beneath the storm, something ancient stirs. It is a strange truth, paradoxical, yet eternal, that when life becomes most disorderly above, something below begins to settle. It is not visible to the eye. It cannot be measured or named. But it is there, pulsing in the depths, moving with the rhythm of hidden tides. The unconscious does not fear chaos. To it, chaos is not destruction. It is reformation. The tearing down of false patterns to reveal a truer design. The ego, of course, panics. It was built to preserve control, predictability, identity. And so it fights the unraveling, not knowing that the unraveling is sacred. We are taught to cling, to hold on, to patch the crumbling walls of our outer world. But there comes a moment, a crisis, a collapse, when the soul refuses to let us stay asleep. The mask breaks, the path disappears, and what is left is only the unknown. But within that unknown, a deeper order begins to emerge. It does not come from above. It does not come from the mind. It rises from the dark waters of the unconscious, from the symbolic world, where myth, dream, and instinct converge into a deeper knowing. It is not linear. It does not follow logic. It whispers in riddles. It reveals itself in pain, in vision, in strange inner certainties that have no explanation. The alchemists knew this. They spoke of solve et coagula, to dissolve, and then to bind anew. First, the old structure must burn. First, the prima materia must fall into chaos. Only then can the gold be born. The self, your deepest center, does not fear the shaking of your world, for it has planted seeds far beneath the soil, seeds that only grow when the surface cracks. It waits, not in the sunlit gardens of order, but in the shadowed groves of transformation. You must let the storm come. You must let it take what was never truly you, and then wait. Wait in the silence beneath the thunder. Wait in the ache beneath the fear. For in that place, something deeper is being woven, a pattern not made by man, a design carved by soul. Chaos at the surface is not the end, it is the threshold. The old gods fall silent so that the deeper voice may speak. And if you dare to descend into that trembling darkness, you will find that beneath all disorder, something eternal was taking shape. There comes a moment quiet, yet immense, when the mirror shatters. The reflection you once trusted fractures into shards, and you realize what you believed to be your face was never your own, just a construction. A costume stitched together by approval, expectation, survival. We build mirrors from the world around us. Parents, teachers, lovers, culture. We look into their eyes and learn to see ourselves. But these mirrors, over time, distort. They reward what pleases and punish what is true. And so we begin to live not from essence, but from reflection. We forget the original face. And then something breaks. Not gently. The breaking is often violent, sorrowful, confusing. A relationship ends. A career dies. A belief collapses. And with it, the mirror you once clung to falls to the ground, scattering your image into pieces. This is the sacred crisis. It feels like death, but it is the labor of rebirth. For the soul cannot be seen in a mirror built by others. It will not be captured by the surface. It waits behind the glass, patient, ancient, and whole. And when the mirror breaks, the soul steps forward. You may not recognize it at first. It does not look like what you remember. It is wilder, quieter, eyes deeper than memory, older than identity. It speaks a language not of roles, but of symbols, not of achievements, but of essence. This is the true self, the face beneath all masks. But first the false mirrors must fall. We resist this. We try to tape the shards back together, to restore the illusion. We crave the comfort of the known reflection. Even if it is hollow, it is familiar. But the soul is not interested in comfort. It is interested in truth, and truth is often revealed in destruction. So do not mourn the mirrors that have shattered. Do not curse the losses that stripped you bare. They were necessary. Their collapse has cleared the way for your return. Your real face is not made of reflection. It is made of fire, of symbol, of sorrow and vision, and the quiet certainty that you are more than what the world has shown you. The soul does not come back to play a part. It comes back to reclaim the whole stage. To live from the center, not the circumference. To speak with a voice that is not borrowed, not echoed, but born. This return is subtle, gentle, but unmistakable. You will feel it in your solitude, in your dreams, in the strange stillness that arrives without reason and stays. You are not losing yourself. You are remembering the face you wore before the world taught you to forget. And sometimes it takes the breaking of old mirrors for the soul to finally see itself. There is a kind of loneliness that does not cry out, does not beg for distraction, does not chase the comfort of company. It is not the loneliness of social absence, but the ache of existential silence, the cavern where no voice echoes back. It is here, in this vast interior space, that something ancient begins to form. We mistake loneliness for a curse, a flaw in the design. But the soul knows differently. It knows that the absence of others is often the only way to hear the whisper of one's becoming. The soul cannot emerge in the noise. It needs the hush, the emptiness, the ache. This loneliness, it is not a void. It is a womb. You are not dying here, you are gestating. In the darkness, far from the eyes of the world, your next self is curling inward like a seed. It needs silence to grow. It needs solitude to shape its roots. The ego fears this space. It panics. It reaches outward in desperation, scrolls calls, masks, movements. But these things only blur the sacred stillness that is calling you inward. For something is dying, yes, but something greater is being born. The loneliness is not proof of your failure. It is the sign that your old form has become too small. Like a snake shedding its skin, you are being pressed from within. The identity you once wore, comfortable, known, is beginning to split. And the soul is stretching, reaching, longing to be made real. In this solitude, you are being asked to descend, to go beneath the surface of who you thought you were, and listen. not with your ears, but with your bones, with your blood, with the trembling ache in your chest that says, there is more. There must be more. And there is. But it cannot be forced. It cannot be summoned by will or intellect. Birth requires surrender. The new self will not arrive until the old self is fully released. And that is the terror of this space. The waiting, the unknowing, the loss of what was without the arrival of what will be. But trust this. The womb does not lie. It cradles even when you feel abandoned. It holds even when you feel empty. It is shaping you in silence. Every tear, every sleepless night, every silent scream into the pillow, it is part of the molding. You are not alone. You are in labor. And when the time comes, when the form has ripened, when the soul has stretched its wings within the dark, the next incarnation will come. Not as a thunderclap, not with fanfare, but as a quiet emergence. A new voice, speaking not from fear, but from essence. You will rise, not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be. And you will know that the loneliness was not punishment. It was the holy chamber of your rebirth. There is a strange quality to dreams, a sacred disarray. They do not speak in lines, but in spirals. They do not reveal, they beckon. And just when we think we've grasped their meaning, they slip, vanishing like breath on glass. Yet this slipping, this refusal to be captured by logic is no accident. Dreams become riddles only when truth is near. When the unconscious begins to stir with something vital, it rarely comes plainly. The deeper the truth, the more veiled its appearance. Symbols emerge fragmented, archetypal, mysterious, not to obscure but to protect. The soul is cautious with its treasures. It wraps them in paradox, cloaks them in strangeness, so only the one who is truly ready will see. We must understand the dream is not just imagery. It is message and mirror. It is the psyche's sacred whisper, spoken in the language of the soul. And the soul does not deal in straight lines. It speaks in myth, in image, in living metaphor. Its truths are not explained. They are felt. And so when the dream becomes a riddle, when it confuses or unsettles or awakens something just out of reach, it is not to frustrate. It is to initiate. The riddle is the threshold. It invites the ego to step aside, to surrender its demand for clarity, and enter the labyrinth. For only in the labyrinth does transformation occur. Only there can the old patterns dissolve, and the hidden light emerge. We are drawn to the dream not because it is simple, but because it is sacred. And the sacred does not give itself to the surface. It requires descent. When truth is still far, dreams are clear, even forgettable. But when truth draws near, when the self is approaching, the dream darkens. It becomes symbolic, unsettling, poetic. This is the soul's way of preparing you, of testing your readiness. Will you follow the thread or dismiss it as nonsense? Do not rush to interpret. Do not dissect the symbol until it bleeds. Sit with it. Feel it. Let it haunt you. Let it trouble your peace. For that unrest is the beginning of awakening. Every great transformation is preceded by a riddle. The phoenix burns before it is reborn. The hero is lost before he is found. And the soul sends riddles when it is on the verge of revealing your next becoming. So if your dreams no longer make sense, if they leave you with questions rather than answers, take heart. The truth is near, not the truth you can speak, but the truth you must become. And in time, when you are ready, the riddle will unfold, not through reason, but through revelation. And you will see that it was not confusion, it was the soul speaking in its native tongue. And so, as you walk through the shifting shadows of your becoming, remember this: the path is not found in the world's applause, nor in the perfection of your reflection, but in the quiet unfolding of your innermost truth. You are not lost. You are being unmade, so that what is eternal within you may rise. The chaos is not your enemy, but your crucible. The silence is not emptiness, but the echo of the self calling you home. Trust the unraveling. Trust the ache. Trust the deep rhythm that pulses beneath all confusion, for it is there in the deepest night of the soul that the first light returns, not with thunder, but with the gentle certainty that you are becoming who you were always meant to be.